If you want to get us, 844-204-RICH to chat, that works as well. Or just own the 49ers. You can get to call into the show. Like Jed York, the CEO, right here at top of second hour on the Rich Eisen Show. How have you been, Jed?
I'm good. I thought we were talking Notre Dame football today.
Oh, my gosh. You know what, Jed? much like that gambit to start this conversation, Rudy was offsides. Same thing, just like you right now. I think you jumped. I think you jumped the snap. What do you think?
I'm just proud that I think we have the best collegiate football program in America right now. I'm excited about that.
Now you really believe that though, right? You really believe that right now about Notre Dame football,
like pure collegiate football program.
What does that mean?
I know what he's
Are you insinuating? Are you implying? What are you doing, Jen?
No, I just think our student athletes and the guys that go there for just an education. I feel like we have the best pure student athlete program in the country.
So are you talking up the provost on the campus of South Bend right now? Is that what
yes,
you're doing?
Absolutely. They've done a great job.
Hey, the coach is terrific. I love when he comes on the show, Brian Kelly. I think he's terrific.
I'm very, very happy. I think Notre Dame is not the easiest place to be the coach, as is your alma mater. It's not the easiest place. There's very, very lofty expectations. And I think Brian's done an amazing job with the expectations, and I think he fits very, very well in South Bend. It's awesome to see.
Jed York here on the Rich Eisen Show, the CEO of the San Francisco 49ers, always kind enough to spend some time with us right here on this first day of June. Anything going on with your team lately, Jed? I haven't seen you on the headlines at all. What's going on with your team? Anything
we don't have any more draft picks to trade, so there's not there's just not much to do right now.
I love that. Let me just jump in here because there was so much conversation as to how it all went down and how it did work its way to Trey Lance being the guy chosen by your organization. Did this start where, hey, it's a weekly meeting, or it was just placed on your schedule? Coach and John want to talk to you. John Lynch, the general manager, sit down and they laid out, hey, we want to make a monster move up the draft board. Is that how it gets presented to you and you're part of this machinery here in the 49ers?
I think they saw the class, and there were definitely a number of guys that were intriguing. And just knowing that we wanted to be respectful to our current players. We didn't want to do anything, where we were having sort of sneaky meetings and trying to, be stealthy. Like, we wanted to just make sure, like, if we were going to do it, we're going to do it out in the open and make sure that we did the entire process and evaluated all the guys as thoroughly as possible and let everybody know here who that decision could affect. Like, this is what we're doing, and we're going to be very, very straightforward about it. And, there was a lot of meetings. There was a lot of, I can't remember how many guys and how many times that they saw each of the prospects sort of in person and going to pro days and things like that. But there was certainly a lot of things. And, I could tell fairly early on how focused Kyle was. And I just sort of pulled back, where instead of getting updates off of every time they watched film and, every time that they saw somebody in person or had a conversation, it was just like, look, when you guys are ready to sit down and make the decision, we'll get together the week of the draft. And that's sort of what John and Kyle decided. I can't remember the exact day, but I think we got together Monday before the draft. That was the final day that we got together.
But I'm hitting the Wayback Machine all the way to probably late February, early March, when that trade was made. Because, again, I know you're very prideful, as well you should, of putting together an organization after the turnover that you went through, that the coach and the general manager, and then you delegate. That's what they do. But I'm assuming, all that draft capital that gets moved around for a player that is going to eventually be your new starting quarterback does require your check mark, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
We had that conversation, but it was the check-ins in between were, right. You can tell how focused Kyle was.
Yes.
Where it was like, you don't, your decision week to week, day to day doesn't really matter. So I definitely shifted gears from there. So we tried to not. It was like one of those things where it's hard to not talk about it, But it was like, look, like we're not going to put that on the agenda anytime we get together because, Kyle can change his mind, based off of different things, and it wasn't worth it to try to go through it at that point. But I mean, if you go to the Wayback Machine, it was, this is the decision we're thinking about making, and if we do it, we're going to be bold. And again, I think it was important for us to really control our destiny and know that we were going to get, we knew that we weren't going to get to the first pick. We were pretty certain that we weren't going to get to the second pick. So we knew that we wanted one of the next quarterbacks that were going to go. And we just talked about how to get there and what we were comfortable with. And again, having the amount of trust and respect that I do for John and Kyle makes it so much easier to make a decision like that.
Of course, I hear you. But so, in other words, you, Jed York, CEO of the 49ers, said yes to a trade based on what you heard from your coach and your general manager, who you trust implicitly, without knowing the name of the player that was going to eventually be spat out on the last Thursday of April. That literally is something you said, okay, go about your valuation. There was no player that they said, this is the guy who's in the leader in the clubhouse when the trade was made. I mean, what can you reveal about that?
No leader in the clubhouse. I mean, it was really, there were, you essentially knew who was going one, right? I mean, I think we all knew who was going one.
Right.
I don't know that you knew 100% who was going two, but you had a pretty good idea who was going two. So there were really, three guys plus, potentially a fourth if he didn't go to the Jets that you were really looking at. So it was really three guys plus another just in case he didn't go to the Jets. And I think they felt good about all of those guys early on, and they're all intriguing. I think they're all going to be very successful guys in the NFL. I'd rather not play against them, but I don't get to choose who other teams' quarterbacks are. So that's something that's a rule change that I'd like to implement at some point.
It's Jed York here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, were you rooting for, not like you're grinding all 22, but did you have somebody that you wanted in mind and that you were glad that it came out, or what?
I mean, I'm very glad how it came out. And again, I think I've said this before. It was a lot easier, to choose who you wanted versus who you didn't want, because you can make an argument for all five of the quarterbacks that went that they should have been the first quarterback that went. And there are things that you can debate about all of them, but I mean there's a lot to like about all the quarterbacks who were in this draft. And for me, I'm not studying their film the way that Kyle is or the way that John is. And in terms of the people, I think they are all great young men, and I think Trey is going to be fantastic. He's a phenomenal young man, but all the guys were. So it wasn't like, well, this is a great player, but there's a character issue. There are no character issues with any of the guys. There were no off the field things. There's just, it was a very, very unique group of young men, and it was a really cool process.
And I think the world of Trey Lance. He was on the show 2 days before he became a 49er, and he literally had me at hello, and it's just, I can't believe he was.
He's awesome.
I can't believe he was born in the year 2000, man. I just can't believe that.
It's that's a little weird that he was born in the year 2000, but we'll all get over that at some point.
That's an us problem. It's not a him problem, obviously.
That's right.
That's us working out our own issues there. So when is the question? Did I hear you in an interview elsewhere say you think Jimmy G could be the starter the next 2 years? Did I hear that, Jed?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
That's a nice thing about drafting a young guy is that. When he's ready to play, he's ready to play. You look at, another quarterback that there have been rumors about. It took him 3 years to play, and he's had a pretty nice career. And again, I think, we love Jimmy. I think Jimmy, he got us to a Super Bowl. There's a lot of great things to like about Jimmy, and that's the thing about when you're looking at the quarterback position, the amount of money that a quarterback demands and sort of takes to be able to field somebody that's not a rookie is a lot of money. And there's obviously a savings to having a rookie quarterback. So some of that savings goes to, a guy that can help you get back to a Super Bowl, a guy that can play very, very well when he's stayed healthy and has done a great job like he did in 2019 for us. I have no problem having two really, really good answers at quarterback there and allowing a young guy who just turned 21, to get his sea legs, so to speak, under him. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Now, that aforementioned quarterback who was in the news that did take 3 years to be the starter, that was in a time, however, when there wasn't a fifth-year option, and winning in somebody's first contract in the NFL was at such paramount importance based on what you just said, the cost savings of having somebody on a first contract in the NFL. That doesn't factor into your that doesn't factor into your thinking as a chief architect there in Santa Clara?
So, if I said this to you, if I said the first two draft picks that we had, two number ones, are no longer on the team, our best draft pick from our first class was our fifth round selection, and are you excited about your team going forward? Are you excited about your team? Do you think your team is going to get to a Super Bowl in year 3 if your two first-round picks from the first year are no longer on your team? You'd probably say no. You'd probably say, this is a disaster. This didn't work. And I think that's where everybody looks and says, it's a first-round pick. It has to be a home run right away. I'm looking at the entire picture. What are we doing to be successful? And I think, obviously we didn't have the year that we wanted last year in terms of, our record. But the things that we overcame as an organization, as a team, the injuries that we had, being kicked out of our home and going to Arizona, I think we showed a lot of fortitude, and I feel like we can compete right now, whether Jimmy's a quarterback, whether Trey's the quarterback, whoever it is, and if Jimmy gives us the best chance to win, then Jimmy's going to be our quarterback. So we're going to spend the same amount of money as anybody else in terms of the NFL and the salary cap. So whatever that makeup looks like, as long as we're getting to the right result, I'm comfortable with it.
And plus, I guess you got to just live with your decisions and live in the moment, because we could all be gone by Sunday, right, Jed?
We could be. I have no idea if we're going to make it this Sunday.
I heard that.
I'm hoping that we do.
Were you one of the people who texted your coach on that Sunday to say I'm still here, like Kittle did? Were you one of those people?
No, I didn't. but in speaking of George,
yes,
I think George he's easily one of the top people in the NFL. Just an awesome guy, an awesome football player. First person ever to do a handwritten card for me to say thank you for a new contract ever in the NFL since 2005, my first year. First guy ever to do a handwritten card.
What did he do? He sent you a thank you note?
He handed me a thank you note. He lost it last year after we had done the deal, and with all the moves and just everything, he had it in his storage because he moved to Nashville with his wife.
Right.
And he's like, I found it, and he's like, I just wanted to hand deliver you a card. And beautifully written card, thank you note. First time I've had a handwritten note from any player for doing a contract extension.
No kidding.
Yes.
Signed George. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Jed, for the long-term deal. No kidding.
The only other guy that I have a handwritten card from that we didn't do a deal with. Any guesses?
Well, geez, can you give a little bit of a hint? Because I can go just a slight subset here, Jed.
He played catch with your head coach under the radar at Duke.
Peyton Manning?
That's correct.
What was that about? Well, he's a known handwritten note guy. So,
but after he signed in Denver, when we didn't evaluate Peyton, even though Jim and Giro went down to Duke to work him out and throw with him, Peyton wrote me a handwritten note after. So the only two guys, Peyton Manning, who didn't sign with us, and George, who did do an extension.
So what is Peyton writing you? Thanks for what?
It was just thanks for the interest in me. Wish you guys all the best. This was before he signed in Denver.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now I feel like I should write you a notice for something. Now
I feel like that's like sort of like if you write me a note, you're probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. Like that's kind of
well, okay.
So how it goes.
All right. Well, I was going to end this conversation by thanking you for calling in, but a note's coming your way. How does that sound, Jed?
No, it sounds great. Sounds great.
Thanks for the call.
Absolutely,
Appreciate
man.
it.
I'm hoping to see you in person soon. It seems like things are opening up a little bit for everybody.
I guess let me just ask you that question. Are you expecting to have a full house? Like, is that I know obviously the health and safety protocols in your county is what sent you elsewhere last year.
So we are, as things sit today, we are in the clear to be able to have a full house. Now, obviously, things can change. But that's our expectation right now, and that's as the guidelines sit today. That is our expectation.
So because I know the state of California is opening up fully, on the 15th of this month.
Yep.
Of this month. So practices, everything you're expecting to have as normal as possibly can be when you're, Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. That's the first one. I just looked, week 3. How you doing?
That might be a big one.
Where Al and Chris won't be wearing masks in the booth, and they'll be calling the game. That's the way it would look, right?
That's what I'm hoping. What I'm hoping.
With the aforementioned quarterback that we have not named, that your coach apparently called his coach for, right? That guy, Jed.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think our interview's up. I don't want to miss your commercial break.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you being concerned about my radio clock, Jed. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Rich.
That's Jed York, everybody.
Bye.
At Jed York. I follow him. You should too. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.